Grace Howard, you are an invaluable member of the Engineering Institute and my most exceptional student.
Should you build Grace with 4-piece Freedom Blues or Chaos Jazz? Or is Thunder Metal actually the better choice? Is it better to stack penetration ratio or elemental damage? Do you really need to run her with Rena? Salut! In this guide, I'll try to answer all these questions based on what I've learned from maining Grace throughout my time playing Zenless Zone 0. To do this, I'll start with a basic breakdown of Grace's kit. Then, we'll deconstruct the core behind Anomaly damage by exploring the crucial differences from normal damage calculation. With that in mind, we'll figure out her best builds, team comps, and how to actually play her. Grace is a permanent S-rank electric anomaly character known for applying shock very, very quickly. This comes from her passive, which boosts electric anomaly buildup by 130%. That opens the door for her to act as a trigger for the Thunder Metal set, which relies on constant shock procs to reach its full value. Grace's additional ability increases shock damage by 18%, stackable up to 2 times. That means a total of 36% extra shock damage. Sounds amazing on paper, but in practice, it's tricky to pull off. Mainly due to Grace's energy dependency and how it only activates through her EX special attack. Each shock lasts 10 seconds, which makes it hard to maintain. So we're left with a passive that only really shines in specific setups, and an additional ability that's tough to fully exploit. If you're not interested in the deep reasoning behind my build choices, you can skip to the timestamp on screen. Here's the main issue. Grace's personal damage multipliers are very low, but that's actually common among Anomaly characters, because their goal isn't to deal raw damage through basic attacks, EX special attacks, or ultimates. Their damage comes from their status effects, things like assault, shock, or burn. This is backed by Reddit user Arcus, who explains in his guide, Zenless Zone 0 Stats and Damage Calculation, how character damage is really calculated. We'll use his work as a reference for this breakdown. Looking at the sections, we find that general damage is calculated through a combination of all offensive modifiers available to a character, especially relevant for characters like Miyabi. This calculation uses stats like attack, crit, elemental damage, resistances, defense, and all the reductions involved. Meanwhile, Anomaly base damage depends on the type of effect being applied. In Grace's case, we focus on shock. According to Arcus, shock-based damage is equal to 125% times the character's current combat attack. That includes buffs like Astra Yao's or passive boosts like the 12% from Grace's signature W engine, Fusion Compiler. Then this base shock damage gets modified by percent damage modifiers like Astral Voice, anomaly damage modifiers like Grace's additional ability, enemy resistance or debuff modifiers, defense modifiers, stun and damage dealt bonuses, anomaly mastery, agent level. So, what matters most is attack, anomaly mastery, defense and resistance reduction, and having your agent at max level. You can achieve that with a strong build and certain discs, like Freedom Blues, which reduces anomaly reaccentuation buildup, Puffer Electro, which increases pen ratio and lowers enemy defense, or Chaos Jazz, to boost anomaly mastery and disorder damage. You can also share some of this responsibility across teammates, like Nicole, Rena, Trigger, Astra Yao, or even Caesar King. In that sense, having key dupes is extremely helpful. For example, Astra's Mindscape 1, which reduces all elemental resistances by up to 18%. Okay, so what's the best set for Grace? If your goal is to apply Anomaly really fast, then 4-piece Freedom Blues is a great option. As mentioned earlier, it reduces the enemy's Anomaly Rees buildup by 20% for your element, in this case, Electro. 4-piece Chaos Jazz is also viable. In both cases, the idea is to have Grace enter the field, apply her effect, and leave, working as a Thunder Metal enabler. Or, my personal favorite, play her as a true Anomaly unit who triggers disorder. For the remaining 2-piece set, You can use Thunder Metal, Puffer Electro, Chaos Jazz, Freedom Blues. Slot 4, Anomaly Proficiency. Slot 6, Anomaly Mastery. Slot 5, pick depending on your build. Elemental damage if your attack is good, penetration ratio if you're using Rina, Puffer Electro, or Grace's signature attack if you're lacking base damage. Any of these will scale up anomaly damage and let Grace support as a reliable disorder trigger. If you're planning to build her as a hyper carry, which is how I usually play her, then without question, go with 4-piece Thunder Metal. This gives you a 28% attack boost every time you apply shock, which massively increases her next applications. For the 2-piece set, stick to the same choices. No change needed. Her W engine choice depends on the team, but generally follows this priority. Yanagi's signature, Time Weaver, gives attack, anomaly proficiency, and anomaly buildup rate. Perfect for Grace. Grace's own signature, Fusion Compiler, grants penetration ratio, 12% bonus starting attack, and proficiency. Electro Lip Gloss, high anomaly proficiency substat, up to 16% of TK, and 25% damage dealt at max refinement. In some teams, it can outperform Grace's signature. Weeping Gemini, heavily boosts anomaly proficiency based on mastery applications. As we've seen, very valuable for anomaly scaling. Grace's ideal stats at level 60 are more than 350 anomaly proficiency, at least 2600 attack, and that's it. Penetration, elemental damage, and anomaly mastery are all emphasis optional. I personally recommend having around 196 anomaly mastery and using elemental damage bonuses. But as I explained earlier, this depends on your team and how you want to play her. Finally, let's talk about Grace's recommended teams and the rotation patterns you'll want to use in each situation. If you want to run her in disorder teams, you've got 2 strong options, Vivian and Miyabi. In a Miyabi team, I suggest pairing her with Rina and equipping penetration in slot 5 or using a W engine that provides it. Personally, I'd go with 4-piece Freedom Blues to apply disorder quickly and efficiently. Vivian, on the other hand, can be paired with Nicole or Astra. In those teams, Grace can use either elemental damage or attack. It doesn't make a huge difference. What might change is her 4-piece set. Both Vivian and Nicole encourage keeping Grace on field for longer, so applying Anomaly quickly becomes less important. That means Thunder Metal might actually be the better set here. Sadly, I don't have Vivian, so I can't run tests myself. Of course, other viable partners include Jane, Piper, or even Bernice. For those setups, I recommend using Chaos Jazz, since the gameplay tends to be less rotation intensive than with Miyabi and doesn't require fast anomaly procs. If you want to play Grace as a hyper carry, there are 4 key agents to consider: Trigger, Rina, Nicole, Astra. Any combination of those makes a strong team, but they'll each bring out different aspects of Grace's kit. Personally, I prefer playing her with Nicole instead of Rina. Why? Because Nicole offers stronger debuffs and, more importantly, gives you better access to disorders. One last thing to mention, it's also totally viable to play Grace as a Thunder Metal enabler in mono Electro teams with Harumasa and Anton. These setups work very well thanks to the Thunder Metal buff, which boosts the main DPS's damage while Grace plays as a sub-DPS. In these teams, your rotation should focus on triggering shock, then swapping her out to let your DPS shine. I hope this little guide has been helpful to someone out there. I'm not an expert in Zenless Zone 0 or anything, so any feedback, suggestions, or corrections are totally welcome. Feel free to leave a comment with any questions. I'll do my best to reply and give helpful advice. Also, A special thanks to Ease0203, who suggested making a video explaining my Grace build decisions. That's all from me. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like more content like this or if you want me to cover another guide.